Hello YouTube, this is the Prepared Lockhart project. I wanted to be a little more specific about our food stores. I think it's a very important thing, although we are into spring, so it may not be as big of a deal now. But certainly in the winter, not that we have no food in the house, but it's nice to know that, heaven forbid, if there was a blizzard and we weren't able to get out of the house, that we have plenty of food and we won't go starving. The other piece of that is nothing is a guarantee. I think I've stated in the past that I have a pretty as guaranteed as it gets job. And we have very little debt and definitely have a decent amount of savings. But what if I were to lose my job? That is a very legitimate concern nowadays. And I still want to be able to provide for my family. And let's face it, one of the three biggest bills are usually your mortgage or rent, so housing, your utility bill, whether it's gas, electricity, oil, unless you have solar, which we would love to have. And it is on our mind to do. The third biggest bill usually is food, at least for a family, maybe not someone single. But we are a family of four now. So food, it's a decent bill every month. And so, heaven forbid, I would lose my job, although we have other streams of income, because with nothing, should you put all your eggs in one basket, some things would suffer. And I don't want us to go hungry. And I kind of took notes. I always keep a little notebook on me to make notes, video ideas, but also stuff to, track stuff. And I finally took a tally of at least this stuff. And again, I think I've shown this. This is actually a trunk that we use as a coffee table in our living room. And hey, that's what you need to do modern day, is find any little area that's not being used, because obviously you see I don't just have food in there, but it is a cool, dry place. So but anyway, so I just tallied everything up, and I have 23 meals for breakfast. Granted, I guess you could eat ramen noodles for breakfast. There's nothing against that, but I'm thinking a little on the traditional side of things. I have 48 entrees, so either lunch or dinner. So that's, again, if you were very specific, that's 24 meals for lunch, 24 meals for dinner. So still it's, about even there. I know it's kind of random, but I have 3 MREs. Yeah, not going to go into that. I have 5 pounds of canned rice. That's what those jars over to the left, the metal with the metal lids. It's long grain brown rice. Each jar is a little over 1.5 pounds, so I'm guessing it's roughly 5. I think I took a 5-pound bag and filled the 3. I might have had a little left over, so it might not be exactly 5 pounds. But 5 pounds, that is a lot of rice. I have a 12 pack of ramen noodle and one 7-ounce tin of Spam. I think I got that in some subscription prepper kit thing, so I just threw it in there for good measure. Now, that might sound like a lot of food, and granted, one of the people we have to feed is not even a year old, so she is not consuming a great deal. But there are 2 adults and a 6-year old. So I guess I should have done further math, but start with the 23 breakfasts, even if you're only thinking about the 3 people that really eat solid food yet. That's a week's worth of food. And if you count the other freeze dried stuff, again, that's a week's worth of meals. All those big number 10 cans you see. That's a week. I mean, assumably that should get us through any minor disaster. But I mean, we have a pantry in our kitchen that's usually pretty well stocked, so, you know, you're maybe talking 2 to 3 weeks, plus, the ramen noodles, the rice, the MREs. I don't know. We very well could at any given time, especially if you maybe rationed stuff a little, we may have a month's worth of food. Would we see anything that significant? I don't know. I mean, a blizzard isn't going to shut down things for a month. I know, I think I've said I live in Maryland. Even in Maryland, it's been quite a few years now, but we literally had a blizzard Sunday into Monday, and then another one Wednesday. I literally had the entire week off because it was that bad. But the food we had in the pantry was good enough. I actually think I was here alone. And I probably was still in the Army at the time, which is probably why my wife wasn't with me yet. But, anyways, I didn't run out of food. Again, I was single, but everything's relative as far as how much you need and how much you consume. So, this is a family's amount. I'm sure I had a single person's amount. And, after the 7th day, I'm sure, things were back in business. So now, the maybe less likely scenario, and blizzard, hurricane, whatever natural disaster that could happen in Maryland, I can't see things being down more than a week. Now, if I were to lose my job, that's a different story. But again, we have, we're set up specifically that, I think I'm a little old school. They used to say have 3 months' bills in savings, which is what we do. But, in more recent times, because people were jobless for so long, more recently, now they're saying 6 months. Well, realistically, who can save that much? A. B. I hate having money in savings doing nothing for me. I'd much rather have just the 3 months and anything else being invested and working for me. So I would be hard pressed to actually put 6 months worth of money. But anyways, even if I were to lose my job, because of where we are and what I do, I would probably have a job within weeks or within a month. And again, we have plenty of savings, so it's less likely for that, more likely for a natural disaster. Do I need more than a few weeks worth of food? No. So really, do I think I'm going to get any more? It's hard to say. I don't think so. Because, again, if we had a hurricane and trees were down and power was out, I can't see that being like that for more than a few weeks to a month. And I really do think we have enough food in the house between stockpile and what we typically have in our pantry. Because let's face it, we're like everybody. There's stuff that stays in our pantry for weeks, if not months, if not even longer. It expires. We go to eat it, and it's like, oh, that expired 2 years ago. So we typically have a lot of food. Mind you, I think it's a very important prep because, again, nothing's guaranteed in life. Jobs, the weather, you never know what's going to happen. So clearly, I am a prepared person. We prepare for all sorts of situations. I mean, you see on the right, we have a stockpile of batteries. We've got lanterns. We've got the pump for the 5-gallon water containers. We've got a knife. We've got an old cell phone so we can at least call 911. We've got the water tablets. I've got a army wool blanket. We're definitely into preparing, which is why I even have the food. But I am not one of those people. I'm not a doomsday prepper. Let's put it that way. I honestly don't think the world is going to end. I can't say that I don't think there will ever be civil unrest, obviously, because we just had riots in Baltimore. So clearly I know that that can happen. Do I think it will be the end of civilization as we know it? No. Again, I'm not a fearful person like that. I prepare, or my family prepares, for the everyday situation, for storms, for, in our old town that we lived in Maryland, the neighborhood lost power for like 5 days. Now, really, that only affected our refrigerated items. Everything else was fine, and luckily I have a family member that lives in a different town that didn't lose power, but that was in the middle of the summer, and not because of a hurricane. I just think it was a really bad rainstorm with high winds. For whatever reason, it knocked our power out. Were we prepared? No. We didn't have a generator, which we do now. In this house, we've lost power, and we have ways to heat the house. Actually, our HVAC system died. We didn't, but now have alternative ways to heat the house, and not just where the wood stove is. So things are getting bigger and we have a garden, so certainly during growing season, we're not gonna starve. So, yes, so I've gone on far too long, but I did want to go over our food preps. Yes, some people want 3 months, 6 months, a year's worth of food. I just don't see, I don't want to say wasting my money. I just don't want to invest that much in that when, spending money on a generator was far more important to me. Or down the road, getting solar would be far more important to me. So, no one is a millionaire, or not everybody. So you got to do things in stages. Once, not every month, but once in a while, when I make an Amazon purchase, that's when I was getting those number 10 cans. I would get one at a time. You just gradually build up. I didn't buy all those batteries in one day. we certainly saved up and had thought and tortured ourselves about getting that generator. But now I feel so much like a weight has lifted that we finally got one, because now if there's ever a power outage, it will be that less of an inconvenience. I'm not saying it still won't be, because I haven't hooked it, I haven't set it up to be able to hook up the house yet. We'll still have to do extension cords for now, but at least we'll have power. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I remind you to please comment. I would love to hear other people's opinions. Please click like, the thumbs up, please subscribe, and until the next video, see you later.